tell somebody, he's even more than that right now. Tell him he's more than. Touch 2, 3 people, say more than, more than, more than, more than.
Now let me ask you guys a question. Who wants a life that's just plain ordinary? I know I don't. Wouldn't you rather have one filled with excitement and lots of fun? It turns out that it's just the kind of life God wants for you. And it's the kind of life He guarantees each and every one of us. It doesn't matter how young or old we are, God has something amazingly special for everyone starting right now. Now Jabez was more honorable than his 2 brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, "Because I bore him in pain." Jabez called on God, or Israel, saying, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand will be with me, and that you will keep me from evil, and that I may not cause pain." So God granted him with what he had requested. At first, Jabez seemed like a pretty ordinary guy, but at the same time, I could tell that God had done something really big with his life. So I slowly read that prayer Jabez had prayed. It was a very short prayer, only 4 lines, but for some reason it stuck to me like glue. So the next morning, I prayed the little prayer word for word, just as Jabez has done years before. Maybe you know about the I Spy books. Perhaps you used to hunt for all the objects that they told you to hunt for in the middle of a huge different crowd of objects. I would search every inch of illustration until I finally spotted them. Well, that's kind of like Jabez. He is tucked back in the Bible in the middle of the Old Testament in the book of 1 Chronicles, a book that hardly anyone reads because it's mostly like a bunch of boring lists. If a book like 1 Chronicles were written today, it would probably sound like this. Donna and John Davis had 2 kids named Joshua and Amanda. Then Amanda had 3 kids named Nicholas, Megan, and Hannah. And Amanda's brother Joshua had 3 kids named Alexander, Tyler, and Zach. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Not exactly a page turner, is it? But it's even worse because the names sound like diseases or something you would say after you sneezed. You get the picture? The point is, there in the midst of all these long, boring lists of names, you find poor Jabez just stuck in the middle. Now here is when it gets interesting. Jabez gets his story told right in the middle of all these boring lists, kind of mysterious, isn't it? Now you might be wondering, what is Jabez's story? Why, I'm glad you asked. As you remember, Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. The word honorable can mean several things. It might mean that Jabez lived a good and upright life, or that he was an important or wealthy man, or that people who knew him gave him honor. That all sounds pretty good, don't you think? But life didn't start out well for Jabez. His mother named him Pain because he was born in pain. You see that Jabez meant pain. Now everyone could be annoying sometimes, but how would you like it to be called Pain every day, 24/7? Jabez didn't let that stop him though. We know that because in the prayer he said, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me and that you will not keep me from evil and that I may not cause pain." Because of his name, you could tell that Jabez's life started out with some problems. And who doesn't have problems? Sometimes our problems may seem so overwhelming, they keep us from doing something really great with our lives. Maybe like Jabez, you don't like your name. Maybe it's an old-fashioned name. Or perhaps you don't like the way you look, or maybe you get teased about things that you can't change. Well, guess what? Things haven't changed all that much since the time of Jabez. We all have problems, we all have situations in our lives that seem totally unfair. But if we follow Jabez's example, we won't let our problems become a giant brick wall that blocks our way. You see, Jabez faced his problems head on. He came before God and did a very brave thing. He asked God to do something completely radical with his life. And that's when Jabez's life changed. The little prayer made a gigantic difference in your life, and I bet it will make a gigantic difference in yours too.
Amen.
I wish somebody would make some noise in here like they came to celebrate Jesus. Cause it's all about him, it's not about us.